This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 552 for May 21st, 2018. Smells faintly of Suicide Squad.
Mr. J, you're my hero.
Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpier.
Hello.
Two pieces of news here at the beginning. One is we just finished our most recent Game Club recap episode for Shovel Knight. If you're listening to the audio version, it'll be out now. If you're watching us live, it'll be out tomorrow, / later today. And our next game is Owlboy, as chosen by our very generous patrons. So, go scoop up Owlboy and take to the skies or something.
I think it's $20 on Xbox right now, I think. I just bought it last night, so I should know that.
I just said welcome and hello to somebody in chat and was being very nice. And now I've got to time him out because they're being a jerk.
Yep.
Hold on, let me close this out. So, speaking of Patreon and patrons, wanted to mention, someone brought up a really great point on Patreon saying that, I often communicate the benefits to you, the listeners, but I often don't communicate the benefits for me as a patron, which is a really great benefit, which is a really great point, because I'm a stay-at-home dad, and whether you know it or not, that's not a position that pays particularly well,
nope.
Or at all. So if you're a patron, your money goes directly to paying for the show, website hosting, podcast hosting, RSS feeds, that whole thing. And if you've ever been interested in how much money and where that money goes, there is the two sort of patron goals on the side of the website. Phase 1 is paying for just the audio, and then Phase 2 is paying for the website stuff. So you can see sort of the breakdown of where all that money goes and how close we are to that goal. So patreon.com/E1M1 if you're interested. It helps both of us, all of us. Patreon's fun.
Yep.
I like it. I like giving all you ladies and gents a bunch of content. Every week.
We'll get more eventually at some point when we figure out what else we can do.
Yeah. All right, all that news out of the way. Let's get started, Moonpier, with what you've been playing this past week.
Okay, let's get started with I want to say the oldest, but I'm not too sure anymore, actually. Yeah, let's start with the oldest. Shovel Knight. I finished that game,
yes.
And now I'm really, really eyeing up the DLC. I will probably be jumping back into that game repeatedly just to get through some of that DLC.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, go listen to the episode, folks.
We don't talk about the two DLC, the two, and eventually later this year 3 DLC episodes that came out, but I know one of them you play as Spectre Knight, and apparently that's
Plague Knight?
Yeah, the other one's Plague Knight. Apparently, especially the Plague Knight one is supposed to play very, very, very differently, and that's exciting.
Yes, but Shovel Knight is good.
Yeah.
I don't really want to say too much about it because we've got a whole different episode dedicated to that game, so go listen to that
go
one
play
instead.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I jumped in to see if Thieves a tiny little bit, like a little bit.
Well, there was supposed to be that big patch coming out this week that got delayed.
Yep. Some things I didn't know that have changed since the last time I played this. There are now super special chests.
Okay.
One of them is the crying chest.
Excuse me?
It's a chest that has a face on it that cries.
Okay.
And if you don't play it happy music, it will fill up your boat with water.
Oh, because it's crying.
Yep.
Rare. All right.
And the other special chest that I've seen so far is the drunk chest, where I don't know if you're just in the vicinity, but definitely while you're holding it, you are drunk as a skunk and literally stumbling around the ship trying, like, for the record, when you dock to some place to give these chests away, like to sell them, you have to usually jump from your ship onto a dock, like a gangplank kind of dock thing.
Right.
That's very hard when you press up and you run directly to the right or directly to the left.
Great.
It's a very difficult thing. I will give my wife all the credit in the world. She handled it like a champ and literally just somehow made this jump and this walk along this pier going
Just serpentine.
Yes, the whole time. She made it. She delivered it. Good on her for being a champ.
Man.
I did also mess with my color settings a little bit because apparently I had my 4K display wrong and my colors like super washed out, and I don't know if it's just an update I've had or something, but I changed it and now the game still looks incredible and the game still looks beautiful, so
yeah,
I'm happy. I kind of really want to play more of that again. It's got that itch going back where it's just like, yeah, I could play this for a couple of hours, you know, just hand in chests, sail a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of the galleon anymore because that thing is just so hard compared to the sloop where you're just like, yeah, it's 2 people, nice and easy.
Yeah.
You know, don't have to worry about crashing into every single rock that you see on the water. It's just so... The galleon is fun in a challenging way. The sloop is more of a relaxing experience, I've noticed.
Right.
Relaxing until you see a galleon and then you have to run like your life depends on it because it probably will.
There was an article on Kotaku, I think it was this week, that said the best thing that happened to Sea of Thieves, or thinking about No Man's Sky for our news stories.
Yeah.
Best thing that happened to Sea of Thieves was that people stopped playing it. So the only people that are really left are the dedicated ones that want to do stuff, or are going to be dedicated about being pirates, or want to embrace some of the emote language that's going on in the game, where it's like, hey guys, I don't want to fight you. I have a galleon that's just full of chests. I just want to go turn them in. Like, any other day would be cool, but like I have pirate business to go do.
Yeah.
I think that's super cool.
Yeah, and I think it's also a case of by people stopping playing the game, it gives them a chance to get a whole bunch of updates in.
Yeah.
So that when people come back to it, because people will, like, this game, I don't think this is going away. I think this is going to get talked about for a while. Every big patch, every major content update that they do.
Yep.
You're going to find that people will trickle back in and be like, oh, this is way different from the last time I played it. Let's,
Yeah, let's play for a while.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with Game Pass as well, as it gives them that audience, ready-made audience right there with Game Pass for people to just be able to jump straight back in and play it whenever they feel like it.
Yep, that's true.
Is always good. You don't have to go out and drop the 60 on it. You can drop it $10 for a month and just be like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
So no, Sea of Thieves, like, I'm not disappointed by the game. I'm not let down by the game because they were never dishonest about what that game was. I think it's going to be one of those games like Warframe, like Elite Dangerous, where I will jump back into it. I will play it hardcore for like a month, and then I'll step away for 6 months, and then come back into it and play it hardcore for another month. Get ready for me to talk about Elite Dangerous because it's that time of the year is rolling around again soon.
Getting that itch.
Oh, believe me, I am, especially considering all the updates and hearing what Nimp has been saying about it on Twitter as well, and it's just like, I should get back in with my...
Yeah, I gotta fire that back up, oh no!
And I can't let Nimp overtake me, even though he probably already has, because he went super
Nimp, that guy's dedicated.
Yep.
And he got bitten by Elite Dangerous very hard.
Yes, he did. The other game I've been playing, old games as well, let's talk about The Division.
Oh, yeah.
Or, how is this game still as amazing as it is? How is this game still as fun as it is? And how is this game still alive considering what it came out as?
Right.
It feels to me like Ubisoft did what Destiny 1 did. Where they're like, okay, it's a good game at first. It was when it came out, me and my wife played it for like 40 straight hours or whatever. Like we did, we beat the content in like 2 weekends. It was impressive. It was great. It was fun. And then we did that thing that you do with every one of these games. You hit the end game, you stop playing because there's no more content.
Right, or like everything that's left are raids, and it's like, well, maybe that's not my scene right now.
Yep. And we actually have a really big positive in this because we've got friends who want to play this game now and hadn't actually beat the game back then. So we help them get to the end, get to the level cap, start unlocking the dailies and stuff. But by doing so, it's also reintroduced us to a lot of the fun aspects of the game. I played around with survival mode, and that thing is incredible. Like,
that's the stuff we were talking about last week with the snowy place, right?
Yes, where the whole map is just super duper snowy. It's very, very difficult to stay alive. You've got a constant ticking timer of this disease that's infected you. Right. So it's super roguish because it's designed to make you feel powerless in a game where other than that you feel powerful. And they've done so many improvements to the game. Like, there are now world tiers where you can choose the difficulty level of the world itself, and then that will kind of like torment levels of Diablo.
Right.
You increase the world tier, you get better loot, but everybody's harder. It's
between that and randomized dungeons, it's like you're cherry picking the best stuff that Diablo does, and you're putting it in your great game. Like, it's the sort of thing that, I'll talk about Destiny 2 here in a bit, but not PvE a lot. It's the sort of thing you look at Destiny 2 and you're sort of like side-eyeing, like, just take this stuff. Just steal this stuff. You work for the same company. Just take it.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, it's that shocking nature to me. Like, we think this will be the third week on the road, but credit to Ubisoft.
Yep.
Like, they have done an incredible job of not giving up on things which other publishers, other developers would have thrown out of a window as fast as they could.
Well, yeah, like, you look at Rainbow Six Siege, and it makes sense for them to stick with it because it kind of hit pretty hard out of the gate, and you could see a pretty good upgrade path for that. But you look at For Honor especially, and The Division. If I was in Ubisoft's shoes, I'm not entirely sure I would have voted to stick with either one of those, truthfully. Especially not For Honor, because it was sort of not great.
Like, it was a fun enough game, but the problem is it was real easy to break it real quick, especially when you didn't have dedicated servers.
Right. Which they just resolved, I think. I think they just put in dedicated servers recently.
A month or two ago, they put it in there, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I still don't think people are giving them enough credit for being a customer-facing, customer-oriented publisher who are easily one of the top 3 publishers. Like, say what you want about, EA's out there, you've got Microsoft out there, you've got Sony out there, you've got Blizzard out there. Whether you want to admit it or not, Ubisoft, I think, are in a better publishing and development position than Microsoft, than Sony. Probably in a better position than Activision, I would say, considering how many games Ubisoft puts out, how many hit, and how many they stick with year after year, and yet still nothing they do feels like it's designed to hit the consumers.
Yeah. People are too happy to lump them in, like you said, with EA and Activision. Those two companies are not, to put it mildly, they're not nearly as customer friendly as someone like Ubisoft is.
Yeah, they feel Ubisoft has all of the gotchas. They have the loot crates, but guess what? In everything, they are cosmetic, generally speaking.
Yep.
Or they are very easily attainable with in-game currency.
Yeah.
Whereas the other developers, the other publishers, they feel a lot more predatory in their actions. The Division has cosmetic loot boxes in them now, which you can pay real money for, but they are all cosmetic. There is no loot involved in it because, hey, it's a loot game. Yeah. So, credit for them for taking that Monster Hunter thing as well. I mean, like, why would we put this stuff in there? Monster Hunter does better, I think, because there's literally no loot boxes at all in that game.
Yeah, well, I like the director of that game came out pretty early, and they were like, hey, are there loot boxes in there? And he's like, no, because the game is about getting the loot. Like, I'm not going to have you shortcut that. Like, everybody needs to learn that from Diablo 3. Like, That's the worst thing you can do in your game.
Yeah, look at what they did with the Real Money Auction House, and look at how badly that backfired with them. And then more people probably played that game after that than ever did before it.
Oh, yeah, as soon as, like, what was it, Loot 2.0 came out is what they called it. Mm-hmm. As soon as that came out, everyone was like, all right, let's get on Diablo 3 now. They fixed it. And even if it wasn't that much different, it was very different. I think the marketing around that was huge for Diablo 3.
Yeah, and how many people do we know? I know at least 2 or 3 people who have bought that on multiple platforms and sunk multiple hundreds of hours into it.
I'm raising my hand that I've 100%ed, 360 and PC and now the PS4 version, and there will be another one, I'm sure.
Yep. Wait for the Switch version. Oh, Diablo 3 on Switch. That's...
I don't know if I want to... I don't know, Switch for me is like a different sort of...
It's a different beast.
Yeah, like I don't really treat it like that. For me, the Switch is more like a pick up and play sort of thing, as opposed to like, all right, let's tuck in and play something for, until the battery dies.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, The Division, it's really cool. And if you have the game and you're playing through the story mode and you kind of want some help, feel free to drop me a message. I helped T-Bomb and Rob, that's T-Bomb Rocks and Brain Eater from the community. Great name, by the way.
Yes.
I helped them both get their gear score up, like maybe 20-30 points in like 2 hours.
Oh, nice.
It's really not that hard to get yourself like higher geared up to do higher gear stuff, and it's got that really satisfying loop of everything becomes a loot pinata, and then you're just like, ooh, what's this? Ooh, what's this? Ooh, what's this?
Oh, this is a huge upgrade. Oh, yeah.
And they do the great thing of sharing loot. So
Great.
If I'm in a party with them and we all do, like, we did ones which were too low for me to actually get any benefit from, but guess what? I can still drop every single thing I got on that, and it matters to them because it's better than what they've got.
Right,
but not as good as what I've got. So it allows them to essentially get an extra person's worth of loot from doing one random mission.
Right.
So
that's smart.
Really clever, really helpful, and that game is just so satisfying. It's got really solid gunplay, like the sound effects, everything about it. The game is rough when it came out. The game is looking just as good as ever. It's running really fantastically, and I'm getting that itch to jump into it every day and see what are my crafting assignments, what's my combat assignment, what's my dark zone assignment. I want to go in and do that stuff, which I don't get that for a lot of games. I don't get that itch to just load it up, see what I can do, and just blast out like 4 dailies.
Yeah, like spend an hour and just kind of do your daily stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, it's looking really good.
Yeah, that's exciting.
My last game this week, speaking of T-Bomb and Rob, I picked this up based solely on a recommendation from them.
Okay, I think I got recommended this by T-Bomb
yes,
Rocks
you did.
as well. Which is a game that absolutely flew under my radar for some reason.
So they talked to me about this game while we were doing the Isaac stuff, like we were streaming and watching and critiquing each other. And I thought to myself, well, let's see, what is this thing? I watched the trailer for it while T-Bomb was loading it up so he could stream it and show me what it is. And as soon as the trailer was done, I'd already bought it and had it downloading by the time he'd started his run. Which, this game, like, what's Battle Chasers Night War? Let's talk about that terrible title.
Yes.
This game has a worse title. Wizard of Legend.
Yes.
Which is very, very generic of a title.
Yeah, it sort of makes sense, but it's not the strongest title.
No, it's not. And this game kind of hooked me instantaneously.
Yeah, I watched a playthrough of it. I watch a YouTuber named Northern Lion who plays a lot of Isaac.
Oh, the Isaac guy, yeah.
He just started a series with this, and like by the time he was 5-10 minutes into the first video, I'm like, oh no, I need to get this. Crap.
Which, for those who don't know, Wizard of Legend is a top-down, kind of an isometric view.
Yeah.
It's pixel art style, so it looks a little bit like Crawl. If you ever saw anything for Crawl, it's got that kind of art style to it, except a little crisper and cleaner. Not as dirty as Crawl, which That's a strange sentence.
Not the pixels aren't as chunky.
Yes. And essentially, you're in this museum. It's the museum of the Chaos Trials, I think they're called, which is when the wizards used to all have this contest and go and basically, if you beat the trials, you become a wizard of legend.
Mm-hmm.
And it was each of like the 3 leaders of the elements basically would throw this trial together. You'd have to go in, beat the trial, beat these leaders, and then you became the Wizard of Legend. Dead simple story. Now for the mechanics, and why Boston has to pick it up and why I already did, is this is a roguelite.
Yes.
It's got the similar mechanics of Crypt of the Necrodancer, where you do a run. When you come back, you have a premium currency that you can buy upgrades with, or different items with, or spells, or whatever. And it's essentially it's like an isometric Streets of Rage. It's an action combat game where
it reminds me a lot of Enter the Gungeon, actually, because it has where Enter the Gungeon has that dodge roll mechanic. Mm-hmm. This has that sort of dashing in and out mechanic that reminds me a lot of that.
Yeah, and why did I forget that? We talked about this game yesterday. Hyper Light Drifter. That kind of mechanic as well.
Yep.
Except all of your attacks are basically spells, or arcanum as they're called.
Mm-hmm.
And you choose your spells before you go into the run. So there's different, like, there's fire, earth, lightning, water, a bunch of different spell types. Each one is effective against a different type. So fire is good against ice, lightning is good against water, that kind of thing. It has not the triangle, but that whole setup of one element beats another, loop around.
Right.
And basically the arcanum that you get, it depends on your attack range, your attack strength, your attack power, the attack type. It has a really cool mechanic where you've got a dash at all times. That dash, depending on what type of dash you have, can leave, like, the one I use is an ice dash.
Hold on, I gotta let my cat out of a room that he actually got locked into. If you want to keep continuing, I'll be right back.
Okay. So yes, the ice dash it's a dash that leaves a clone behind you. That when the enemies touch that, they freeze. But then you've got the primary attack, which is usually a very quick light jab. I'm trying to think of corollaries for it, but it's essentially just a standard attack. Then you've got a more powerful attack on a different spell button, and then you've got a signature spell. So you've got 4 types of attack of Arcanum to start with. And then as you're going through the runs, you can pick up different ones, you can upgrade the ones you've got. But it's all elemental based, so if you know when you first load up the runs, it will show you've got 2 floors and then a boss, 2 floors and then a boss, 2 floors and then a boss. And it will tell you what element you are going into. And then depending on what you have loadout wise, if you find that you're going into the ice one, you kind of want the fire loadout, but you don't see what the level is until you've already loaded up the run. So maybe you'll go in and you'll be in the fire level and all you've got is ice spells, so you've kind of got to balance it a little bit better than just having one particular type of spell. But for me, welcome back. For me, where this game truly shines is its combat. Like, it's really tight controls. I do feel very squishy in the game right now. I'm not gonna lie, I feel super squishy, but it's one of those things where I can see the evolution of the combat happening, because by the time I started playing it, I made it 3 rooms. By the time I was done playing it last night, I was beating 2 bosses and then getting up to the leader of a specific set of floors.
Nice.
Because it does in tiers of 3 Boston. It does regular floor, boss, regular floor, boss.
Right. I saw I really like how they show that. It's something that I feel like maybe Binding of Isaac could learn from, where it's, when you're going between floors, it shows 2 little boxes and then an obvious circle with a boss there.
Yep.
It's 2 other floors and then another one. I like how they display that. And
let me tell you, those boss floors are absolutely nightmarish.
Yeah.
I made it through to the fire boss, and she whooped me in about 3 seconds flat. And I'm not kidding when I say like 3 seconds. Like I went in there, she spawned, and I was dead.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where I'm looking forward to getting used to the combat, getting used to the attack patterns, getting used to all that stuff that we've spent a year and a half doing with Isaac.
Right.
I'm looking forward to doing that in this game because the way the combat works is really satisfying. Like it's very actiony, very beat 'em uppy, but it feels deliberate at the same time. And the fact that you start with 4 spells, but you can eventually have 6, helps you like balance that out with like different abilities and getting these impressive combo chains going. But because it's a roguelite, it has one of my favorite things ever, which is it has the upgrades on the floors, so you can like go see a shop and buy upgrades to your spells or replace them with different ones. It has cursed items.
Oh no.
So you can buy items that are cursed that have a positive and a negative effect. So right now for me, like I'm really enjoying this game. I'm trying to find a loadout that suits me, that suits my play style. Like which type of attack do I like? It just so happened on one of the runs I picked up the rock fists, which it's like a giant fist that occurs from your hand, and you just beat the crap out of people with this giant fist made of rock.
Awesome.
I really, really like it, but I got it in a run. I didn't unlock it, so I need to actually wait for that to appear in the store so I can unlock that to start with it, because that's the best weapon I've had that I've enjoyed so much, like enjoyed the most so far.
Right.
So I'm waiting for that to appear in the shop before you go on the run so I can equip it permanently from now on. So right now I'm just diving in. I'm just experimenting with different loadouts, different cloaks, different pickups, different cursed items, trying to figure out what they all do. Like, this game is kind of incredible, and you should really pick it up, Boston. Like, today.
Yeah, I need to pick it up. It's my ever-growing list of really cool roguelites to play.
Yeah, I started playing this at about 10:30 last night. My normal bedtime is I like to be in bed by 11:15. I got in bed at 12:30 because this game kind of stole my night away. So
just one more run.
That's exactly the phrase I was going to say. It's got that just one more run thing to it, where you just like, it won't take long. It's only 10 minutes, and then before you know it, you're up to the boss again. You're like, oh, 30 minutes just vanished. Yay.
Right. That's exciting. That's really great. I don't know how this escaped our roguelite radar, but I'm very happy that it's out.
I can tell you how it escaped it, because there's a bajillion things coming out on everything every single week.
Like I said, 2018 was supposed to be the quiet year.
Let's just keep piling on the pressure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've been playing. Boston, you should really buy Wizard of Legend. Yeah.
We were just talking about how 2018 and 2017 were really great years, so I'm still playing Destiny 2. I decided this week to try and make a concerted effort to try and crack the competitive playlist for
why?
PvP.
Just why?
Well, I do pretty well in the they call it quick play, but it's really like the casual PvP playlist. I do pretty well there. I'm usually hovering at around 1.3 to 1.5 KDR.
That's not too bad.
I feel pretty good about.
You are in the positive, which is much better than I would do.
Yes. Well, there were a couple runs this week where I'm like, okay, I went 0.064. Okay, that was
0.2 is about right for me, dude.
Yeah. So I thought, well, I really want that competitive Season 3 pulse rifle they have there, because it would be really good for PvP. And I don't want to belabor why it's really great, because it's not a Destiny podcast, but it's basically the two perks on there are complementary for each other and really great for PvP.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a PvE weapon. And I gave it a concerted effort this week, and I lost every single match that I went into.
Oh, wow.
And that's gonna losing matches is gonna happen, and they have since changed the matchmaking rules for competitive PvP, which I will go and try for maybe a match or two. But there are 2, maybe 3 big reasons why I'm not enjoying competitive PvP, and I won't be going for this weapon unless something changes dramatically. One is I'm bad at this mode that's there. It's called Countdown.
That's the Counter-Strike one, isn't it?
Yeah, where it's like go place a bomb or kill the whole team. Either one.
Yes.
If you place a bomb, it detonates. You win, or if you kill the whole team. And it is Destiny 2, so it's 4v4, which is fine. And there's revive tokens, which is fine. I don't like that mode. I'm not good at that mode. I have not seen any other mode in the competitive playlist other than Countdown. I feel like Survival is supposed to be there as well, which I'm a little bit better at. But I haven't seen that at all, which is frustrating. That is on me. Me not being great at that playlist, and me especially not being great at that mode is 100% on me. And practice...
It probably also doesn't help that it's really hard to wrangle together a team these days as well. And it's not just a case of because of time differences, it's also a case of working, not working, when you're available to play, when you're not available to play. Like,
I play a lot when my kid is asleep and she falls asleep on me a lot, so like I can't really configure strats for this hardcore mode. Yeah. You do bring up a great point though, because I solo queue a lot, so it's just me diving into the fray. With a competitive playlist, it's usually me and 3 other blueberries, which, definition time, that is random people you're running into in Destiny 2.
I didn't know that was a term.
Yes. Up against a 4-stack, which, definition time...
4.
Yeah, 4 people that are already in a group that are your opposing team. I don't inherently have a problem with that. I know that is the Destiny 2 community right now is at all-time high salt levels right now because of competitive. I know that I'm going to be, solo queuing against a 4-stack a lot of the times because like you said, I don't have that group of people that are, have complimentary gear and have our chat going on and, we're calling out call-outs and all that. I don't have that. So, of course, I'm going to be at a bit of a disadvantage, which is fine. The 4-stacks that I'm running into are like professional killers. They have, like, the full setup that... They act like they're running Trials of the Nine. And that's just for, hey, it's a Tuesday morning and we're going to do some competitive. So it's really just like we're 10 seconds into a spawn and they have found all 4 of us and murdered us.
Yep.
And I'm not super salty about that because that's that mode. We didn't have a team that communicated as well as they did. And they sort of earned that win. But at the same time, losing... The difference between the casual playlist is in the competitive playlist, you lose points when you lose, and you gain points when you win.
My least favorite type of multiplayer scoring is if you lose, you lose points.
And I'm fine with that because the casual playlist is you don't lose points when you lose. Mm-hmm. And you gain additional points as you get on a winning streak. That's fine. And it still does that on competitive, but that's just 100% not for me. I like playing the casual one. I'm working my way through the ranks. I think I'm rank 3 right now, and you start at 0 and it goes up to 5, and then you can prestige. That's probably where I'm gonna live, unless 3 other people on PS4 in the clan decide to start playing at the same cadence that I do. Spoiler alert: nobody's playing it right now, which is not the fault of anybody in the clan. Just to be clear,
but Bungie's fault.
It very much is. So I will not go to get this Redrix's Claymore gun that is there and is super cool.
Speaking of really dumb names.
Yeah, it's cool because it has like a little lore thing associated with it, but I think it feel like it will be one of those items that lives in infamy in Destiny, where it's like, oh yeah, that weapon. Yeah. But so that's a bummer, but I'm still having fun playing PvP. I think Iron Banner starts here this week. It's coming back for the first time in Season 3, and that, if I remember correctly, is 6v6, which I have way more fun with than 4v4. I think inherently 4v4 in Destiny is...
If you've got one loose wheel, the whole thing falls apart.
No, it's not even that. We're going to get in a little bit of minutia here for Destiny, but the thing that I loved about Destiny is what the community has now... Destiny 1 is what the community has now termed hero moments. And it was really like, all right, I've got my super, I've got 2 grenades, I just cleared out their whole team by myself because I played really well.
Mm-hmm.
They have, in Destiny 2, limiting it from 6v6 to 4v4, and then slowing down the regeneration of super and skills, which they have since lessened a little bit. And then drastically changing the time to kill has turned it into you stick with the 3 other people, you all move together always at the same time, and you have to team shot enemies because 1v1 almost always ends up with both of you killing each other at the same time.
Yep.
2v1 means you have 0 chance.
Yep.
And
that was my experience, the little Destiny 2 PvP I played. Was if you don't roll with the crew, you don't.
Yeah, and I played hundreds of hours of Destiny 1 PvP, and I thought it was in such a great spot. Even when it launched, there were periods where, okay, snipers are too strong, we'll bring those down. Whoops, Thorn is impossibly strong, we'll bring that down. They were sort of tweaking it as time went on, and I thought as it went from year 1 to year 2, Destiny 1's PvP was in a really great spot. And then had fluctuations all throughout and then by the time they got to year 3, it was fine, but maybe the knobs had been tweaked a little too much.
Yeah.
And then to come into Destiny 2, and this is the story of Destiny 2, you screwed up a good thing. And they changed the time to kill, and they changed the team size. Those are really the 1-2 punch for Destiny 2's PvP not being great. It's just not as fun to play moment to moment, and
yeah,
I feel like it leaves. You have so few hero moments. The PvP or the PvE side has that problem as well, but PvP, in 4v4, like you said, if one person drops out and it's 4 versus 3, that's a huge difference from 6 versus 5.
Yep.
6v5, you can still make a match happen. 4v3, you're sort of just borrowing time until someone hops in your match. And they're probably not going to stay there because you were down 30 to 15, and they hop in, they're like, well, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Why would I stay here for a loss? And they don't get any benefits, or they don't get any punishment for just skipping out of a match.
Nope.
So...
Yes.
I have been playing some PvE stuff, though. I'm working on... There seems to be a 5-week exotic weapon quest that I did the second week of, now that the DLC's been out for 2 weeks. And Tuesday will bring the third part of it. So far, that's been pretty cool. It's been a lot of go do this... some sort of activity on Mars, and then we'll have you do a special... The next step is, let's do a special version of one of the missions from the DLC on heroic difficulty, so it's going to be way harder. This week's was Blackout, I think it was, which means enemies do... It's like 200% more melee damage. So for those of you that aren't great at math at home, that's 3 times as much. And then they have the modifier that I hate the most out of all of them. It's called momentum. And when you play Destiny, you get hurt, you hide for a minute, your shields and your health regen. That doesn't happen with momentum until you start running. And you have to run for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then your shields and your health regen. That sucks. Just flat out. Like, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. That really sucks. So I had to do a mission that was 5 light level above mine with those 2 modifiers. Solo, because nobody's really playing Destiny 2 right now. It
sounds like fun / torture.
Yeah, it was fun. It took me, I think, 3 tries before I sort of got the pattern down and took care of it. I know I've talked a lot of mess about Destiny 2 this week, but I'm still playing it, and I'm really looking forward to weekly reset. There's just a lot of stuff to do in there now. I'm finally getting to the point where I did a heroic strike today successfully, which is a pretty big milestone for me right now, because thankfully Bungie came out this week and they said, look, we hear you. You hit light level 240 as soon as you finish the DLC, and then you sort of hit a brick wall over a giant chasm between 240 and 250 that if you're not doing the raid, it's really hard to fill those 10 points other than...
So exactly what happened with Destiny 1 and exactly what happened with Destiny 2 first came out. Like, it's...
well, no, because it's sort of... There's a problem right now. Bungie's doing the right thing in one respect, and it's sort of screwing people right now. They're doing the right thing where if you don't have the 2 expansions, that's fine. You can still do PvP and the Nightfall and a bunch of strikes and all that stuff. And all that stuff has scaled correctly. But unfortunately what that means is the Nightfall is really easy right now. Heroic strikes are light level 350. The Nightfall is 270, which is super easy to get through. But because of that, the progression has broken. Usually you would run strikes until you get to 350, which is impossible right now because it only drops up to light level 340 stuff, which is fine because you patch that last stuff up with the weekly engrams for like Crucible and strikes and all that stuff. And usually once you'd get into that 345 point, you'd start finding people and doing the Nightfall. But because it's at 270, the rewards cap at 340. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, I applaud them for doing the right thing, where you're still giving the vanilla Destiny 2 people a really great experience with all this content that you haven't locked them out of, which was a big problem for Destiny 1. Especially since, Destiny 2's been out for, 3 or 4 months, and we've had 2 DLC packs. Like, that's pretty fast. But it unfortunately leaves people like me in the lurch right now because I can't do the raid, so I can't pull my light level up that fast. And thankfully Bungie has come out and said, like, look, we're going to figure it out. We're going to solve it. It's just maybe not something that's happening in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, here's a simple solve: Nightfall plus a Nightfall specifically for those who have the DLC. Problem solved.
They need to get better about using the prestige system they have already, where like there's a raid and it's let's say it's 270. I don't remember what it is, and then there's a prestige raid and that's like 300. Just do the prestige Nightfall able to be done by people that have the latest DLC, and it is light level 345 and it drops stuff up to 360. Like that, they already have a system in there to make that stuff work. They just need to
use now.
Yeah, they need to make that work. And for people out there that are listening that might be saying, oh, well, you can just do guided games for the Nightfall to hop in there. I could, but I'd be waiting half an hour just to get in there as opposed to hopping on like the 100.io and just using it.
Yeah.
So they're just in a rough position, and they're stupidly and shockingly still trying to figure their own game out. And that's okay by me because I bought the season pass, so it's no skin off my teeth. But the thing I've been thinking about this week is Vicarious Visions made this DLC, and they made it really, really well. When Destiny 1 hit its stride is like between year 2 and year 3, when Bungie proper was making Destiny 2 and the live team for Destiny 1 was working on Destiny 1. That's when the game got really great. I think if you look at the Comet expansion that's supposedly coming out in September, I feel like this is Bungie's last chance to be able to work on Destiny.
Yeah.
Because
it's just going to get backheeled to Vicarious if it doesn't show.
And honestly, great. Like if you come out with Destiny 2, it came out of the gate bad, and they've been scrambling to fix it, and some stuff they still haven't fixed, and it's on their development roadmap for like the end of the year. If they come out with 3 DLC pieces and they can't figure out Destiny 2 between all 3 of them, including a really big one, why should Activision let you work on Destiny anymore? Like, give it to Vicarious Visions, who's a team that came out with a good piece of DLC under some restraints, or some constraints. Let them work on it. Mm-hmm. Why not? Because if Bungie keeps screwing the pooch, why let them have a dog?
Yeah.
Like, they can't be trusted.
I think the big thing here is I think Bungie still owns Destiny, technically speaking. I think Activision has a lot of sway in the discussion, but I still think it's theirs. So
I wonder if at that point Activision's like, hey man, you put out this DLC, you're done. Like, Destiny, we are not paying for any more Destiny stuff. We're going to buy you out of your contract. We can't keep doing this.
That becomes the question, is do they get a number 3?
Right.
Because as you so aptly phrased it, once bitten, twice shy, except now it's twice bitten, 4 times as shy.
Right. We've been bitten for 4 DLC packs on the first game and then 2 on the first one, and I don't know. I feel equal parts on this. One is I want the September DLC to come out and be incredible like the Taken King was for Destiny 1. And I want them to figure it out and sort it out. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I sort of want them to know when to throw in the towel.
Yeah.
Like, we can't figure it out. We screwed it up. And either... I don't know what's going to take for Bungie to get their stuff together. Like, I don't know if... I don't know. I don't know if... I don't want to come here and say, like a lot of people say, is like, all right, start swinging the axe. Like, Luke Smith and all these people that made Destiny 2, they've got to go. Like, I don't know the internal stuff that's going on with Bungie or Destiny 2 development. But it seems like at some point, there has to be a major change to get Destiny 2 to be where it was supposed to be when it launched.
I think the question is do Bungie come in? Because the big thing, my big takeaway over the course of Bungie's career of development games is I didn't play Marathon, I didn't play any of the other things. Yeah. My first experience with Bungie was Halo.
Right.
And the thing I learned the most from Bungie about Halo was that 343 made a better Halo game than Bungie did.
Yeah.
And from what I'm hearing here is Vicarious Visions made a better Destiny 2 game than Bungie did. So I can't help but think, does Bungie... They seem to be doing this a lot, where they're coming out with great ideas, great concepts, great worlds, great stories. Well then, as you said, when Destiny 2 was delayed, every Halo game that they have worked on has been delayed.
Yep.
Every game that they seem to make gets delayed and has issues consistently that need outside help to come in and fix, or need someone standing over them cracking the whip.
Yep.
It's like, right now, are they only getting by because of this cult of personality about Bungie?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's definitely possible. I think that's definitely the case because they're still Bungie. But I think you're right. I would almost like to see Bungie be in Activision's pocket for we need a game to have incredible shooting. Bungie's going to come in and they're going to make the shooting. That sounds very video game, but they're going to make the gunplay engine.
Do what Sleeping Dogs did, where they brought in the Batman guys to help with the combat. They brought in, I think it was Codemasters to help with the driving. They brought in different studios to help with them with different aspects of the game because these are all teams that have specialty areas.
Right.
That I think made Sleeping Dogs one of the best games around because that game is solid in pretty much every single department.
Yep.
Have them be that. Have them be the shooting team.
Yeah, the stuff that frustrates me is, like you said, bring Vicarious Visions in for the engine and a lot of stuff like this because, you look at Warmind and it has, it's like a 2 to 3 hour campaign. It has 5 missions. 2 of those missions just take place in maps that are for strikes. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like, at some point, even swing the pendulum of, I'm caring less and less at how good Destiny 2 looks, because if it looks really great and there's nothing to do there, I don't really care. I would rather you make another strike or make a couple of other missions for this DLC as opposed to making a planet that looks really great.
Honestly, I don't know what Bungie do. That's my big concern because I do like them. I think they are, like I said, they have got some incredible ideas and no company on this planet makes skyboxes the way Bungie makes skyboxes.
Yeah.
They make some of the most beautiful looking things I've ever seen, but there's always issues. Always. Yeah. And I'm not saying every game is going to be perfect. I mean, God of War apparently was a bit of a nightmarish thing to develop, but that game came together in the end.
Yeah.
But when it's this consistently, it's the same things year after year.
The same problems for the same game. Yeah. Well, UMOS8 in chat says, put it really great, says, I feel like Ubisoft salvaged the vision in a much better endgame than Bungie has with Destiny. I agree. I mean, we were talking about that earlier, and I feel like The Division 1 has taken the same trajectory that Destiny 1 tried to do, which is we're going to take this game and we're just going to polish the hell out of it, and we're just going to keep putting out great content, quarter after quarter after quarter. And I feel like Bungie might have accidentally gotten themselves into a bad position by Destiny 1 supporting 360 and PS3. Mm-hmm. If they would have just cut that at the legs and put that on next-gen platforms, would we still be playing Destiny 1 with a whole bunch of stuff put on top of it, as opposed to let's redo this engine to take advantage of some of the power of this platform? I'm not entirely sure, but
yeah,
you said, how many times are you going to get burned before you realize you need to not touch the oven when it's on?
Yeah. I mean, the big thing for me as well is that Division's actually a really good example of this. Is it's not just about what you put in the end game. It's not just about giving me 5 more missions and 2 more strikes and 3 more playlists.
Right.
Look, let's talk about the Division's end game content. When that game finished, when the game first came out, I should say, the end game content was daily missions which were hard and daily missions which were challenging. That was it. So, just like Destiny 1, it had no endgame legs.
Right.
Since then, they have put incursions in, which are long-term missions that take a good 45 minutes to an hour and a half to do, kind of like the Nightfalls, so that's understandable. They have then included, after that, they put in a survival mode. Not the survival mode that's in there now, but the OG wave-based survival mode, where it's see how long you last. On top of that, they've also then put in a bunch of new events into the Dark Zone, and a bunch of new events in the world, and a bunch of additional missions and high-value targets, and a bunch more dailies and other stuff like that. Then they put on, like, the incursions are essentially like raids kind of situation. Then they put in the actual new survival mode, which is a roguelite survival mode, where you just go in and you get everything reset and you have to survive. That's not more of the same. That's 5 complete... Oh, I forgot to mention, they now have a full-blown PvP mode in there as well, where it's 8 against 8, and you can go in and do capture and control points.
And randomized dungeons.
And the underground, which is the randomized dungeons aspect. That's like 7 different, completely different ways to play the game. That's not just, here's a new mission, and here's 2 new strikes, and here's 1 new thing.
And now all the DLC that's coming out from this point on is free.
Yeah, it's so much content and so many different ways to play it. I don't have to touch the PvP in there, because I don't like playing PvP. I will gladly play survival until my legs fall off, because I love that type of game. So it's not so much just about what they're offering, it's about what they're not. They're basically giving you more of the same, and at the end of the day it becomes, how long did this actually take you to make? Is this worth my money to go out and buy the season pass now, if literally all you're giving me is the same thing again and again and again, and expecting it to smell differently?
Yeah, and I think the two things that are the hardest here is, one is, it's still a fun game to play.
Yeah, like, mechanically, I have loved that game since day one. Since Destiny 1, that game has got one of the best gameplay loops you can have, where it's you shoot, you have fun shooting, things die, and you get loot. It's an incredible loop. Like, they are masters at that kind of thing. When they want to do it, they can put a mechanical loop in there that's incredible.
And I feel like one of the biggest things that people weren't able to maybe internalize from Destiny 1 that they did so well, that they totally dropped the ball on Destiny 2, is that sense of discovery and that sense of danger, were a big part of Destiny 1. Why I feel like that campaign continued to do so well as they continued to add on to it, including the vanilla one, was you're discovering these new places, and everything is so much stronger than you are, and you have all this stuff that you've never seen before, and disappointingly, Destiny 2 hasn't done that yet. Like, the new enemies that you fight in the Warmind expansion are Hive that have ice on them. I'm so sick of fighting the same enemies. Like, they put the Taken in Destiny 1, which was sort of fine, but just shadowy, jittery other enemies. Like, it so badly needs that discovery again of... what am I running into? Like, what the hell are these things? Like, what am I doing? It doesn't have any of that anymore.
No, you just reminded me that the hunters exist in the Division now, which are NPCs. They're not playable characters, they're NPCs. They are essentially agent killers. So they're designed to kill you, and they are completely random.
Oh, man.
You will be in a dungeon, and all of a sudden you'll just get like a flashbang will go off, and you'll be disorientated, and you'll be like, uh-oh, time to hide, defensive positions. Right now, hunters are inbound. Everybody group up because we're all going to die. I have not killed a single hunter yet, and I am really high in gear score, because every time they show up, you panic, and you know that they're there to take you down. You
know what's crazy is, that's another thing they took from Diablo 3. Like, Diablo 3 has that really cool system where if a monster kills one of the people on your friends list,
it gets stronger.
It teleports out of your game and into another person's game, gets stronger, and then, like, hopping from world to world, murdering your friends until someone takes it down, and then it explodes in some incredible gear and gives you mail and loot, like rare loot, that you can send to your friends that have been killed.
Yep.
Like,
it's great.
Just steal from Blizzard. Everyone does it.
Yeah, and Blizzard is essentially steal from everybody else and then just perfect it. That's the biggest difference.
Oh, man. So Destiny 2 is, to wrap it up, is still fine. But it continues to be the game of missed opportunities, and I am not entirely sure of how long the very small Destiny 2 community can continue to do this.
Yeah. Especially
for like $20 a pop on a DLC that's 2 hours and a bunch of chase stuff. I'm not sure. So, Next game I played, I started Owlboy yesterday after we wrapped up the Game Club recap.
That's how you can tell when we're excited about a game, folks.
Yeah. It is astoundingly pretty. I wasn't entirely sure. It was essentially made by one guy and a handful of helpers here on the XNA engine. That gives you an idea of exactly how old this game is.
Yeah.
It looks really great. It is much more story-focused than I was expecting it to be, which is very exciting. And I got through some of the intro stuff and the basic tutorial stuff of, like, here's how you fly and here's how you traverse around. And the very next thing I do is you unlock the system where you get to pick up one of your friends and fly them around, and basically you pick up your best friend and he has a gun. So basically now you have a little turret on the bottom of you, and it's really great. It seems really good. So I am really excited to play Owlboy. I've been holding off, like I said on Game Club Recap, I've been holding off on playing this until it came up on Game Club, and thanks to our generous patrons for picking it, because I am very excited to play it.
I'm still mad because my vote didn't get picked.
Yeah, it's still on the list.
I know.
So that list is getting smaller and smaller.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I think it still has like 35 games on it. So maybe not that small. But last but not least, I played a bunch of Yakuza 6. I'm now on Chapter 6, probably just about to enter Chapter 7. I have finished my work for now in that other town, and I'm back to Kamurocho, which is the town from Yakuza. You sort of run into this ragtag group of Yakuza in the second town, and it's really 3 people that are young and pretty stupid, and you eventually meet their patriarch, who is Beat Takeshi, the actor.
Why do I know that name? He's
been in basically everything. If you Google him, you will know exactly who it is. The great part about the Yakuza games is they take the facial capture. Basically, everybody in the game looks exactly how their voice actor looks. And it's really fun running into Beat Takeshi, because you're like, that's Beat Takeshi, guys. Oh my god, that's who that is. And then his voice comes out. But I kind of like these bumbling idiots that I've, hitched my cart to.
Sorry, 1 second. This is the same Takeshi from Takeshi's Castle. Takeshi.
Yes. That's who. Okay. That's who I'm remembering. Yeah.
Yes.
With the voice, like the very, like, scratchy, gravelly voice.
Yep, and you are not wrong. He has been in pretty much everything.
Yeah, if there's been a movie out and he's been around it, he's been in it. So I kind of like this group of idiots that, Kiryu is kind of entertained by their stupidity, and so am I. Yeah. As part of that, I finally unlocked Clan Creator. And this is the one where you...
this is the base builder.
Well, no. I thought it was going to be base building, but it really isn't. Basically, you're just recruiting people for your army, and then it's... when you go fight another clan, it's almost like a tower defense game. Sort of without the towers. You're sending... You're sending waves of basically disposable clan members you have, and then maybe a handful of very expensive named clan members that have special skills associated with them. And then you're just sort of marching forward until you beat the boss. It seems pretty interesting so far, but I almost feel like there's another level of it. I'm sort of hoping that there's another level of it that I haven't unlocked yet, because it sounds like the the baseball team management is not as deep as it seems.
Yeah.
And if Clan Creator isn't really as deep as it seemed originally, then I'm worried about Yakuza 6 being a little thin. Because I know
having a lot but no real depth to any particular section.
Well, and the hard part is I'm unfairly comparing it to Yakuza 0, which I'm now understanding was absolutely stuffed with an incredible amount of content that the game maybe hasn't really done that often across the series.
Yeah.
So I know Yakuza 6 is like maybe 15 to 20 hour for the main story with some diversions here, which is fine. But I'm a little worried about the level of stuff that's in the game, that it's maybe a little bit thinner than some other stuff, which is good and bad, because like I don't want to be playing it for 140 hours. I did that with Persona 5 last year. But I do like a lot of this. I do like in Yakuza where you had, like in 0, you had Kiryu did the stuff where you're buying up Kamurocho and the real estate development stuff, and then Majima had the Hostess Club sim stuff that he was doing. Both of those had their own storylines associated with them, which was really great. But to be fair, I'm still pretty early on in the game. It's still unlocking a bunch of stuff. So we'll sort of see, but I'm still really enjoying it. It's hard for me to find time to play it, because a lot of times, like I just played a dungeon, essentially. Yeah. And that kind of took like an hour and a half between all the story cutscenes and fighting and all that stuff. And it's like a dedicated hour and a half. You can save, but you sort of want to see the whole thing through. So
yeah.
But Yakuza 6 is still really good. So I'm excited to see where this ends up, and I'm still having a lot of fun with it. And I just looked at how long we've been recording, so we need to take a break. Let's talk about the metric ton of releases for the week of May 21st, 2018.
Oh, no.
Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2 comes out on the Switch. Fair warning, unless they have changed this recently, the cart only has the first games on it. The second one is a download code. Oh. So, that's nonsensical and frustrating.
Yep.
Runner 3 comes out for Switch, PC, and OS X. I haven't played a Runner game in a while.
Is this by the Bit Trip people?
Yeah. They used to be called Gaijin Games, and now they changed their studio name to something really weird. I don't remember what it is.
Gaijin Games was a great name, though, because weren't they based in Japan as well? To make things weird.
I think so. They're now called Choice Provisions, which is a pretty good name too.
That's a good name as well.
I'm sort of excited for this because I feel like I could play a Runner right now, and Meat Boy Forever isn't out yet, which I really want to play. I seem to be the only person who's not angry that game is coming out. But Runner 3, I played Runner 1 and 2 and not a ton, but both of those were really good.
Yeah.
So I could play something as Commander Video again.
Yeah. Can't remember the last time I played a Runner.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, I know. Despicable Me Minion Rush. There you go.
There you go. Naturally. Stardew Valley is finally coming out on the Vita. He is still sticking to his word, saying it's coming on the Vita.
Yep.
So,
is the multiplayer out for that yet?
Multiplayer is in open beta right now. So, which is great because I like that now that Stardew Valley's out, he can do an open beta and say, like, just send me all your bugs.
Yep.
So,
which I'm still in the process of reading Blood, Sweat and Pixels. His section in that book is my favorite so far.
It's so good
because he's a multi-millionaire and still drives a car where you have to climb over the passenger seat to get to the driver's seat.
Right.
That's the type of human being I love so much.
Yep. State of Decay 2 comes out for Xbox One and PC. If you didn't pre-order it, you got it early.
If you got the Ultimate Edition, you got it on Friday. If you got the regular edition, you get it on Tuesday. If you're Game Pass, you get it on Tuesday.
Yep. Yeah, don't forget, if anyone wants to try it out, it's day one on Game Pass. So $10, and you can try it out. You're picking it up, right?
I have Game Pass, so yes,
there you go.
I will be picking it up.
You already have it. I'm very curious to hear how your impressions from you and your wife, because it seems like a really cool game, but the reviews that came out last week were sort of like, yeah, it's better than the first one, but it's real weird. It's just real janky.
Oh, come on. Weird is right in my wheelhouse, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it could be a plus for us. We're weird. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon comes out for PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PS Vita. This has caused some confusion, I think, because everybody, including myself who's a Kickstarter backer, forgot about this. This is the 2D platformer that they're coming out with, that sort of retro-styled platformer. This isn't Bloodstained the game. So, if I remember correctly, if you're like part of the $20 or more tier on Bloodstained, you're going to get this as part of the deal. So I should be getting my download code sometime this week. The trailer they put out for this looks really good.
Oh no.
It looks really good. So I'm very excited to get my hands on this. This could be really cool. And it's a surprise because I totally forgot that this was part of what I backed. So.
The best kind of surprise when you spend money and you don't realize it.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of Musum surprise, where he spends money and then realizes he spent too much.
Right, yes. Punch Club is coming out for the Switch.
I was going to say, that can only be a Switch game with that title.
Yeah, I played this on PC. I don't think I played it on mobile. I don't remember. This came out a couple of years ago. A really weird game that has a super cool premise, but some of the statistical decay in the game made it pretty hard to enjoy. So interesting. Dark Souls Remastered, PC, PS4, Xbox One. The Switch version got delayed a little bit. I don't think we covered that, but from all the footage that's come out, it seems like they fixed a lot of the sort of rough edges. They fixed Blighttown. It doesn't run at 10 frames a second anymore. So,
did you play the OG Dark Souls?
No, because I bought it, but I was so scarred from Demon's Souls still that I was sort of like, maybe I'll take a little bit of a break. And next thing I know, like, Dark Souls 3 was out.
Yeah. Oh,
I know.
Do I want to put 2 super punishing games along with another 2 roguelikes in my currently playing library is my question right now.
Right.
Do I want to add State of Decay and Dark Souls, or just one?
Yeah.
I'm a huge Dark Souls fan.
State of Decay is $10 a month, so that's cheaper than Dark Souls.
I know.
That would be my vote.
You're using that to persuade me to buy Dark Souls because I don't have to pay full price for State of Decay.
I see how that goes. Yeah. That makes sense. That's our show's famous, you're losing money by not buying it.
Yes, exactly.
Detroit Become Human is coming out on PS4.
I do not believe that for a second until I see that copy on the shelf.
I feel like everything that David Cage has done to his studio and the lawsuits that are coming out now kill any interest I have in this game.
Yep.
And we didn't cover it on the show, but David Cage and his company has decided to. There was a French newspaper, I think it was, that had a news story about some pretty terrible working conditions at Quantic Dream. There's the studio's name I was thinking. At Quantic Dream, and they did some. I read the piece, and they did some really great work. And Quantic Dream has come back and sued them for doing their reporting.
The big thing here is I don't know how it is in France, but I know in England, someone asked me a while ago, like, all this, the press news stories and stuff like that you see over here in America about people and accusations and things like that.
Right.
Why don't you ever see that type of stuff in England? It's because
they have good laws.
It's not that they have good laws, it's also the fact that in England, it's so much easier to get smacked with, like, libel, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, it's harder in England and possibly in Europe as a whole to print that kind of stuff and not have it come back on you in a lawsuit.
Right.
America is the sue popular place. I understand that. But if you print that kind of stuff in England and it's not like watertight, concrete, ironclad, you will get sued into the ground because you have to be super careful about that kind of stuff over there. And I can't help but feel that this is David Cage taking advantage of those laws. Even if they've done good reporting, it's so easy to get hit with that type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and from the game's perspective too, you know, it initially seemed like a really cool idea of, you know, these androids that are struggling with their place in the world and how they are dealing with their servitude and you know, potential questions around that. And then every time he's talked about the game, it has been like, well, it's not really about race and it's not really about, you know, servitude and android slavery. And then they show stuff where it's, you know, the trailers, and then some of the most recent stuff they've shown has been like the androids sit at the back of the bus. And it's like, either you're doing this
100% about race.
Yeah, like either you're doing this on purpose and you just don't want to say it, or your writing staff has never, they hatched from their cocoon at 30 years old and have never looked at history at all. So I don't. Again, don't buy David Cage's games. We know who he is. These allegations of workplace abuse and some sexual abuse continue to run rampant. So don't buy Detroit Become Human.
I have always been interested in the man's games. I've never liked the man, so I've never actually played any of his games is my big thing for this.
Yeah.
Like, he has always put me off his studio's games.
Yeah. I played Heavy Rain, and that was interesting, if not a game that has one of the largest plot holes in a game I've played in a really long time.
Yeah. Well, didn't the girl who was the star of the next one? I can't
Beyond Two Souls was Ellen Page.
Yes. Didn't she come out and like basically put him down a lot? After that game came out, and everybody was just like, "Oh no, you're crazy, Ellen Page."
Right, he can't be creepy.
Yeah,
but guess what? Yeah. Well, moving on to other stuff, we have a game coming up from Devolver Digital called "I Hate Running Backwards." That is coming out for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. What's that?
Is it a game about running backwards?
No, it's actually a. It reminds me a lot of like old arcade games in the 80s and 90s, where it's top-down, 2D, and it's sort of the camera's a little bit behind you, and you're always running forwards. That's why I didn't want to call it a runner, because I feel like runner is like a 2D plane from the side. It reminds me of arcade games where it's like you're in a Jeep and the screen is always pushing forward.
Yeah, what's the jetpack game? Where you're shooting things, Mega Drive. Jetpack side to side, shooting aliens.
You know what's funny is I just played it in Yakuza 6. But it's more top down than it is behind the back. It looks like they have characters from Serious Sam and a couple of other Devolver Digital games, which is kind of fun. It looks fun. Like, it looks like one of those, and the trailer very much calls out couch co-op. So I think you can sort of tell what sort of game that's going to be. Like, grab a couple beers and hang out and play it. Should be good. The exact opposite of that, N++ comes out for the Switch, which I'm not going to tell you not to buy it. just because it drives me insane. N++ is a really great game that I get so frustrated by. Oh my god.
Yep, I played one, and I think it was on the DS, and it drove me so crazy I vowed to never buy them again.
Yeah, but they're really... And this game has, like... It's thousands upon thousands of levels, even when you don't get to the community stuff, so...
Yep.
N++ is really great, and I won't buy it. And finally, last but not least, Pixel Junk Monsters 2 comes out for PS4, PC, and Switch. This is a sequel to a PS3 launch game, if I remember correctly. This is their tower defense game, which was
think so.
Really good. I'm sort of excited to see if this one's good too, because that, like we were talking about with Runners, like I don't know the last tower defense game. Like you just played Defense Grid 2, but
yeah, I forgot to talk about it on my section. Yeah, I'm still playing it.
I don't remember the last traditional tower defense game I've played, so that's sort of exciting.
Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Yeah, but that had, Assassin's Creed around it. All right, let's move on to news stories, because we have 8 things to talk about here. First and most importantly, Prey, TVGP's 2017 Game of the Year, has new achievements in it.
Oh, what?
And all of them lined up is reference to one of my favorite REM songs, and the achievements say, if you believed they put a man on the moon.
Nice.
So, just come out with the DLC already.
Yep, that sounds a lot like a DLC pack waiting to me.
Yeah, I'm excited. Apparently, they're all secret achievements. Apparently, some people have figured out how to unlock some of them, but I don't see... I haven't seen so far what the achievement changes into. If it says like, oh, you unlock all of them, and they say like, oh, the DLC's coming on June 10th, something like that. But just give me more Prey. That's really all I want. And hopefully it's standalone, because I know they tend to do that, but if it's standalone, that's an even cheaper way for people to come to Prey. Even though Prey is literally $15 right now. Go play Prey. Yeah. Come on. Let's move on to a sort of bummer news story here. Best Buy has suddenly announced that Gamers Club Unlimited, or Gamers Club Unlocked, whatever you want to call it, is no longer. Suddenly. It ended on the 17th, and they talked about it on the 19th.
Makes the right kind of sense for Best Buy. Yeah.
So anybody that has a GCU membership right now, it will continue to work all the way until the expiration date on their membership, but nobody can sign up now and nobody can extend their membership. So they never said why, but I think it's fairly obvious that if they're canceling a beloved plan like this, it was probably costing them a ton of money.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Yeah.
My guess is they tried it to get people in to buy the TVs, and people just went in and bought the games.
And they tried to beat Amazon, and Amazon has been getting rid of their Prime benefits for video games, and they still didn't beat them. So that's a real bummer, because that was a really good plan, and I was just about to sign up for that. So
sucks to be you.
Yeah. Well, I'll just stick with Amazon until somebody hopefully better comes along. Amazon sort of sucks for buying games.
Yeah. Have I introduced you to this wonderful company called GameSpot?
I will set myself on fire.
Also, it's GameStop, not GameSpot.
Yeah, well, we mentioned what you knew.
Yes.
Next news story, No Man's Sky is finally getting full multiplayer. It's called their next expansion. That's a weird way to say that. It launches on July 24th alongside the Xbox One version. This is full co-op. You're running around with your friends, and you're running into actual real people out I was going to say in the world, in the universe. I hope this gets people to pick up No Man's Sky, because they have we've talked a lot this episode about stick-to-itness of certain companies. When Hello Games put out No Man's Sky and it 100% flopped, they shut their mouths and they just put out a whole bunch of really great free giant DLC packs. And it's in a pretty good position now. And it's a pretty fun game, and I hope that my wife and I are now really excited to play No Man's Sky again.
I'm really excited for it to come out on the Xbox now.
Yeah, especially with the Xbox One X having really great 4K support and really great HDR support. The game's going to look really good.
Yep.
So
Here's hoping.
I hope they do well, and I'm curious to see, with the comparisons that Sea of Thieves got to No Man's Sky on launch. I would like to say I'm hopeful, but I'm doubtful that people that got bitten by by Sea of Thieves would hop over to No Man's Sky now that's a complete product. But I'm sure it will come out on Xbox One and they'll be like, no, meh, it's still broken. Probably. But I'm excited when that comes out. My wife and I will hop in that pretty quickly, and I'm hoping we can do some cool stuff. At the very least, just kind of bomb around a bunch of planets together. Like that. It's such a chill, relaxing game that's 90% of what I'm looking forward to. Is just let's hang out, listen to that super cool soundtrack, and harvest some materials. I don't know.
Yeah, find my space mining laser at the space mine. I don't know, stuff.
Rock stuff. Yes. Yeah. Another sad news story here. Sony is winding down production of physical PlayStation Vita titles, except for Japan. They wanted to come out and say very specifically, don't worry, you can still buy all of the visual novels and otome games that are still coming out over there. This is one of those news stories where you read it and go, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
It's about time. They say that any game card purchase orders from publishers need to be entered by February 15th, 2019. After that, then they're all over. And Gamasutra did a great job of reminding us that March 2019 is when Sony is pulling PS3 and Vita titles from PlayStation Plus. So, sort of all at the same time, just sort of taking care of anything that isn't the PS4.
So what that basically means is April 2019 is when you'll finally be able to change your PSN gamertag.
Boy, that would be great.
I mean, we saw it coming. Honestly, I'm surprised the Vita is not dead already. Mm-hmm. I think it's only through specific huge names. Greg Miller is definitely one of these. I can't remember who else it was, but somebody did the Vita relocation program, where if you had a Vita and you didn't want it anymore, you just gave it to somebody who wanted it.
Right.
And this thing has been dead on the vine for 5 years now, but still an incredible piece of hardware. So
I actually think there's a lot of credit to be given to companies like Atlas and Xseed and NIS, and there are so many. It's serving such a niche audience right now, especially of visual novels, of the dating persuasion that are otome games. There are so many of those coming out on the Vita that don't really have a home anywhere else, and they're doing really, really well. Like Bad Apple Wars, Collar Cross Malice, like a lot of these games that most people aren't going to hear about or know of. They're getting a really passionate following on Vita. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and in probably the super coolest news this week, Microsoft has announced the Xbox Adaptive Controller. There's a lot to unpack here, and I want to make sure I do it justice because it's incredible. So later this year, they're coming out with a controller that's $100. And if you look at it, it looks like a tablet with the Xbox button and the hamburger button and all that stuff and a D-pad. And then it has 2 very large pads on it. Mm-hmm. And that's it. What's really great is when you sort of flip it over and you look at the top, there are... I wrote down how many there are. There are 19 ports, and they are standard adaptive controller ports. And if anyone hasn't seen this is all for disabled gamers. And what's great is they're supporting all existing adaptive controllers and USB flight sticks. So basically, if you are someone who has these controllers and you already have a setup and you already have everything going, you literally just plug it into the top of this tablet and all that stuff controls your Xbox One. And they have a really cool app on the Xbox One that's going to let you configure, all right, if I touch this, what does this do? If I use the flight stick, what does that do in game? And it's only $100. Most of this stuff is like $400 to $500, and it only works on PC games.
And the big thing for me is like I saw a couple of videos on this because I was really curious about it. Because number one, that thing looks incredible. Like it does not look like it's been glued together and taped together like a lot of these.
It looks like a proper controller.
Yeah, and the fact that this thing, the reason why I think it's called the adaptive controller is not just about adapting for the individual person, it's the fact that you can plug basically anything into this and it will work. Any existing things you have, anything that's been developed, like they're talking about, there was a guy talking about using it and he uses a specific controller which he had to get custom built, and he plugged it in and it works fine. He can assign everything that it does. But then my personal favorite thing is good old Phil Spencer coming out and saying, look, this is not a Microsoft thing, this is a gamer thing. Yeah. If you want to be involved in this, come and talk to us. We will give you our technology. We will give you everything. You don't have to worry about paying for any of this stuff. Yeah. We will work with you to get stuff you are making working on this. Yeah. And already, like, I think it's P2P are working on like a nunchuck type controller for people with who've got like amputee issues. Oh, cool. And it's like the simple fact that they're saying we're not looking to charge the developers. We're not going to give. Yeah,
we're not here to make money.
Like to be honest, that thing probably cost more than $100. Like off the top of my head, that thing probably cost way more than $100. Yeah, just in R&D alone. Yeah. So the fact that it's a huge name in this kind of space, putting out something as sleek as that, and being as open as they are, good on them from a PR side of things, but great on them from a community side of things. Yep. Like you said, most of these things are $500 to $1,000 to get a controller that you can use.
Just for PC. One of the coolest setups I saw in I linked to the Ars Technica article in the show notes here, so you guys can check it out in the show notes on the website. They showed this really cool setup where they used a Rock Band drum controller, and then these 2 bumpers basically, and how they showed it is they played Rocket League with just their one leg. And basically they controlled left or right by bumping into one of these bumpers with their knee, and then controlled the acceleration, deceleration with the Rock Band thing. And it's like they just had all those parts, and they plugged in the controller, configured a little bit of software, and you're good. So I think that's incredible, and I really, really, really hope that at the very least Sony and Nintendo, I know Nintendo won't, but at the very least Sony and Nintendo will allow you to plug that controller in. Yep. If not, do something very similar. Because the more people that can play video games, the better for everybody. Yeah. So, this is incredible for... If we did, like, top news stories in our Game of the Year episode...
I think this should be number 1.
Yeah, this would be number 1. Just, the level of... I know some people might want to be pessimistic about it, but the level of altruism going on here from a company that could go in and say, like, yeah, we came up with this thing for Xbox One, and it's going to be $500, but, it's pretty cool. For them to put it out for $100 is...
Yeah.
And for all that stuff, it's just incredible. Next news story, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is finally sort of properly unveiled here. They finally came out and said there's no single-player campaign, at the very least at launch. And I'm going to be the ray of positivity here. They have added a Battle Royale mode called Blackout.
Of course.
So I've seen a lot of people online being salty, saying like, "Oh, they're just chasing it. Oh, of course they have a, and of course they do have one. Like I don't want to insult you, Moon, or anything.
It's a business that
like
going to go where the market demands. The market right now demands Battle Royale.
Yeah, and I feel like that all makes sense because you're right. They are a business and they need to put a Battle Royale mode in. I feel like if there's going to be one company that gives Battle Royale a shot, it's going to be a company that's going to be Treyarch, and it's going to be Call of Duty. Like, I feel like if you want it, I was thinking about this as I was typing up show notes. I was thinking, like, man, if you could only take the incredible shooting and gunplay of Destiny and put that into a Battle Royale, that'd be incredible. Like, that'd be so much fun to play. And I was thinking, well, crap, that's probably going to be Black Ops 4. Like, the gunplay in the Call of Duty games is often so tight and so satisfying to do. Marrying that with a Battle Royale, on the surface, like, I rolled my eyes, and I was just like, oh, God, Battle Royale. And I thought, that could be really good.
Yeah, it could be, and I ain't, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to put him down for putting a Battle Royale game. I'm not going to prejudge it.
Yeah.
I thought Fortnite's Battle Royale mode was a complete joke, yet still somehow that thing has taken over the world.
It's taken over PUBG.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where it's like, that's fine. Let them do what they're going to do.
You're a business.
I ain't going to play it because the only thing I care about when it comes to Call of Duty, I don't care about zombies.
Yeah.
I care about two things, Spec Ops and campaigns.
Yep.
That's it.
I think I don't really want to play this because the Call of Duty's aesthetic usually isn't... I don't like real war stuff, like real war movies or games or any of that stuff. Something about that stuff rubs me really wrong.
You want space lasers?
Yeah, I want like crazy war, space alien war. But that's part of the reason why I don't like PUBG and why I like Fortnite. I love Fortnite's aesthetic. Like, it's very colorful, it's very exaggerated, it's over the top, and I don't like... I know Blackout will probably be really great, but the gritty nature of it really just turns me off.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. So, talking about crazy aesthetics, let's talk about Rage 2's unveiling.
Yeah.
They did a 1-2 punch. I think it was like Monday. They unveiled the announcement trailer, I guess. It was just sort of here, we're going to play that Andrew WK song.
Is it Party Hard by any chance?
No, it was Ready to Die. It was the other song.
Yeah, I know one of his songs and it's Party Hard.
Yeah. That announcement trailer really didn't do anything for me. I didn't like any of that.
I didn't see the trailers.
I feel like people were trying to be snarky about it. Shocker. But I think they sort of nailed it, that the trailer was trying too hard, and as a result, it smelled faintly of Suicide Squad.
Oh.
Where like you sort of get near it and you're like, no thank you. But then they released the gameplay trailer the next day, and it sort of looks like they're taking Rage plus Mad Max plus Borderlands and smushing that all together.
Well, there's some things behind the scenes here that I didn't know about until I listened to the Bombcast.
Okay.
How up are you on the Bombcast?
About 3 years old.
Okay, so things I did not know. George Miller is suing Warner Brothers.
Okay.
George Miller was the director of Fury Road. Fury Road was put out under the Warner Brothers banner.
Ah, interesting.
Mad Max was developed by the second Avalanche studio,
Right.
who were not making Just Cause 3.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, they have been working on an unknown title. Everyone suspected Mad Max 2.
Right.
But they put
can't.
that out under the Warner Brothers title.
Right.
Since this lawsuit is going on between Miller and Warner Brothers, all Mad Max related items are on complete hiatus.
Yeah.
Including the sequel to Fury Road.
Right.
Including Mad Max 2. Rage 2 is developed by Avalanche Studios.
Right. All the pieces are coming together now.
Seeing a thread here.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think if you look at how long it's been since Borderlands 2, and the fact that no one else has really tried to do something that's that similar to it, as big as Borderlands 1 and 2 were, and as far off as Borderlands 3 I guess still is. They're saying they're not going to show it at E3 this year, so it's probably 2020, 2021 maybe.
Who's saying they're not going to show it? Is it 2K saying they're not going to show it? Because that seems like a very 2K kind of move.
No, I think it was Randy Pitchford.
Okay, that's definitely a Randy Pitchford move. We ain't showing that.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Borderlands 3, whoa, wow, oh, magic. I do magic. But I feel like Rage 2 could potentially fill that slot, and it's slated for 2019, and I feel like you come out with a really great playing, not Borderlands game, I'll probably pick that up and check that out. That looks really good.
Yeah, it's got the glaive in it, it's got vehicles in it, it's by the Mad Max team. I absolutely adored that game.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish that game had a 4K HDR update.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a shame.
Sad that lawsuit's going on, otherwise it might happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Bummer.
But if it's by that team, I think they did great work with the Mad Max open world game.
Yeah.
Granted, it was just cause with cars instead of trees. But,
that's okay, though.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm fine. I'll pick it up. I'll support them, even though I haven't touched the first Rage.
Yeah, I feel like I know a lot of people really liked that game, ending aside. I feel like it might be a little too old to go back to now. It'd be like starting Gears with the original release of Gears of War 1. Where it's like, alright, we've come a little bit further than this. You know, it's a little bit long in the tooth. And our last news story here, Cliff Bleszinski's Boss Key Productions shuts down very suddenly. They made Lawbreakers, which I guess the way to say it is failed to capture an audience.
Yep.
So they tried to put out Radical Heights, which
they even came out and said it was 5 months. It was the only time they had worked on that was for 5 months.
Yeah, and they called it a last-ditch attempt, and I don't want to be mean. I try to keep us very positive on this show as often as we can. It smacked of desperation so badly that it was a game that was so incomplete, even in a very early access state, that was trying to capitalize on the Battle Royale movement without really putting a lot of thought behind the core design of the game, and that was the last nail in that coffin. The real bummer about this seems to be that rumors are abound that the studio employees didn't know about this until Cliff posted it on Twitter.
Yep, that's what I'm hearing.
That you did them dirty, Cliff. Like, that's real bad.
That's baseball style bad, is what that is.
Yeah, you don't do that sort of stuff. especially when you sort of had a 1-2 punch of two games that never really got off the ground. Like, I understand your runway ran out, you ran out of money, you closed the studio.
Yeah, but it also didn't help that, from what I understand, this was pretty much a hand-picked team by him.
Yeah.
He got whatever the guy who made Bioshock's name is, he got that treatment where he's like, you fine, you go make a small studio.
Yeah, go figure out your team. Yeah. It's sort of unfortunate because, on one hand, it's unfortunate that Boss Key never took off because, like this article says, the 3 years of Lawbreaker development saw Fortnite, both modes of Fortnite, PUBG and Overwatch, which completely changed the landscape of competitive multiplayer games. Yep. And Lawbreakers came out looking a lot like an Unreal Tournament game, which makes sense.
Until you realize that Unreal have stopped work on their current Unreal game.
Right.
And Epic is only caring about Fortnite right now. Everything else seems to be put to one side for them other than Fortnite.
Yep.
So...
yeah, like the market took a 180 in a couple of months. And that sucks for a studio, but, you know, it sucks even worse to pull up Twitter when you're going to the bathroom at Boss Key Productions and finding out that everyone's fired.
Yep.
All right, that's all of our news stories. Let's move on to a couple of questions we have here as we're on the 2 hour and 15-minute mark. Yikes.
Yep.
Timid Hulk in Discord, which is also another super great name, says, I just heard you guys say the Batman Arkham series is Metroidvania. I don't honestly know what that really means. However, I love the Batman games. Do you have any suggestions on games I may love but not know it yet? Thanks for the years of entertainment. So I answered Mr. or Mrs. Hulk's question in Discord about I think I misspoke because I meant Arkham Asylum is specifically a Metroidvania, and it really has the minor Metroidvania hallmarks of, you know, you get a weapon upgrade and then you can go get into this other building you couldn't get to him before, like, oh, I got the bat, you know, frequency, mew mew, the jammer, oh, now I can get into this building, that sort of stuff.
I got the hook shot, so now I can pull that vent down from the thing that's way up there rather than having to stand next to it and pull it out.
Exactly, yeah.
To be specific about it, it's generally speaking the Metroidvania is whatever the 2D, 3D platform, whatever. It's usually a small enclosed space that you get abilities that allow you to unlock areas in areas you have previously already explored.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like if you're looking for recommendations of games you may love and not know it yet, and you're not familiar with Metroidvanias, I'd say Symphony of the Night and Axiom Verge are sort of the two games you probably want to pick up. A lot of the other ones are going to be good, but maybe have a mishmash of other genres, like we're talking about Rogue Legacy. You know, that's sort of a Metroidvania and sort of a roguelike, but not either one of them, but those two games are kind of standard Metroidvanias.
The Mummy demastered now that it's been patched.
Yeah. Now that should be way easier. That's a much shorter experience too. That might be a really good place to start.
I'm trying to think of 3D ones, but anytime I think of Metroidvania and 3D games, all that occurs to me is actually a character action game, which is Castlevania, the
Lords of Shadow.
That's the one.
God, man, that game was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that wasn't really a backtracky sort of thing, but
no,
go play that.
But you could just like fly back there or teleport, whatever.
That was one of the few games I played that I felt compelled to play through on the harder difficulties.
Yup, I loved every second of that game.
That game was good. Yeah, are there any? I feel like there really aren't very many.
No, Metroidvania specifically, the problem is a lot of those nowadays fall into the character action definition. Yeah. Where it's like, you can get to this area when you have certain abilities, but you just fast travel there later when you've got it.
Maybe the Metroid Prime trilogy? First-person Metroidvanias?
Never played a Metroid Prime game.
I played the first one, and that was really good. Yeah, I don't. I mean, if you haven't played them, pick up Symphony of the Night well, also on PC you can pick up, or most platforms you can pick up Shadow Complex now.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's a good game.
That game's real good too. Yeah, pick up maybe as a starter course, pick up Shadow Complex and Mummy Demastered as your sort of digital intros, and then if you like that stuff, then go to the big daddies of Symphony of the Night and Axiom Verge.
Yeah. They're all kind of the 2D style. It's
like
I said, coming up with a 3D one like Arkham Asylum's, it's a whole different ball game. Because, like I said, most of those just end up becoming character action games. Like you could say the new God of War is a Metroidvania game.
Sure, yeah.
But it's also pretty much a character action game that you get skills for later. It's a tough list.
Someone on Reddit mentions the first Darksiders game is sort of a 3D Metroidvania.
It's a
sort of. It's a 3D Zelda game. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That one's tough, but go pick up those 4 games and you'll have a lot of great gaming in front of you.
Yes, you will.
Jet Ice 182 on Discord says, have you guys ever thought of doing a new section on the podcast called Weekly Recommends, where you recommend either a game, book, film, or TV series, why you would recommend it, but no spoilers? I know you get a lot of recommended questions, so I thought this idea might be cool at the end of the show. Sure. Do you have anything you've been, I guess, other media you've been ingesting that you've been enjoying?
I'll recommend my go-to because I don't think it gets enough. It gets enough love. The Watch series by, I believe it's Sergei Yukolenko, who is a Russian author. I think me and you spoke about it one pre-show.
We did, yeah. It's in my wish list.
There are 2 movies based on it. Watch the movies if you want. It's actually kind of cool. In like the 4th book, they reference the movie as a dream sequence.
Nice.
Which is kind of cool. But just go read like a brief plot synopsis. It's modern day. It's supernatural forces fighting to keep and maintain a balance of good and evil in the world. But go read a synopsis. You'll know immediately if you're into it or not. The thing gets super duper dark. First book is Night Watch. Second book is Day Watch. I'll leave it with you from there.
Yeah. I'm also going to recommend a book. I just finished a book called Bandwidth by Elliot Pepper. He says it's an analog novel book 1, but it sort of seems like it might be standalone. This is a really cool near future book where basically your social networking and your media feed is more ubiquitous than it is right now. They never really explain the technology, but it seems like it's almost like a contact lens sort of thing where you're sort of always seeing it. And sort of what are the downsides to having that material being manipulated in ways that maybe aren't so positive.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just finished that I think a day or 2 ago, and I don't really want to spoil anything because the premise is really cool, but I really enjoyed that much more than I thought I was going to, because any sort of near future technology stuff like that can be really cheesy. But he did a really great job of keeping pretty grounded on that stuff and keeping it more about the people than like, whoa, cool tech, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Reminds me of that Black Mirror episode. I think it's like a season 3 one.
I've never seen Black Mirror.
Dude, you need to watch Black Mirror.
Yeah. It's on the long list of things that have swears in them that I can't watch right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I do have to recommend, though, since we just recommended 2 books, if you're an Amazon Prime member, the Bandwidth book that I picked up was part of the Prime Firsts program they have, which is at the beginning of every month. If you sign up for it, you can just get a free book of books that aren't going to be out for another month. And I've been trying to expand my reading horizons through that, because ever since my daughter was born, I've sort of just been reading cozy mysteries because they're a really easy read. I do like them. It's not just like, oh, I guess I gotta read another book, like I'm doing a book report. But like I've tried to read some romance novels, and I've liked one of them, and I didn't like another one. I tried this one, so I'd recommend that and go check it out, because you just get to pick a book out of like 6 of them and say, I want this book, and you get it for free. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a cool program. And if you're a Prime member, you already get it for free. So that's a plus.
Yes.
And if you guys like the segment, let us know. If you really like it, we'll keep doing it as often as we can come up with stuff.
Yeah. My recommendation this week is don't work 100 hours.
Yes. 2 thumbs up on that. T-Bomb Rocks in Discord asks us our final 2 questions. Says, after getting back into Binding of Isaac and now Wizard of Legend, roguelites/roguelikes are starting to be a more hit than miss genre. What makes a good game work so well in this genre?
Progression is everything. If you don't feel like you can make progression, period, then this is going to kill the game for you. Like, don't worry, I love the Souls games. One of the reasons I love them is because when you make progression, an inch means the world. And it's so satisfying. But then in roguelikes, if you play for 2 hours and you get nothing from it, you will hit a brick wall eventually. It's the problem I'm going to run into where I'm at right now, where I have nothing left to do right now. Except one of the hardest characters in the game, and it's gonna get to me. If I struggle too much, it will bother me at some point. Not being able to make progression. But I'm not going to complain, because this is 500-600 hours after I started playing the game.
And one of the things we talk about in the Binding of Moonpier Boston Rebirth, T-Bomb R, for anyone that doesn't listen, you should go listen. It's a really great show. Part of what we talk about is creating your Binding of Isaac flowchart. It's, all right, I have this item and I have this build. Does it help or hurt me? And how does this enemy work with this other one? I feel like something that does really well in this genre is if you feel like you're always building, even if you've lost 20 runs in a row, if you're building that flowchart up where it's like, okay, cool, I just got a new synergy with, the rock fist and some sort of flame weapon. Now a flaming rock fist, like, cool, I learned something new to keep an eye out for. I feel like at the very least, if the game itself isn't letting you progress, if you're progressing in finalizing that flowchart, I feel like that's where some of the sweet spot is. And if you just have like cool synergies, something that I feel like Enter the Gungeon failed on a little bit. They have synergies, but it's really hard to tell when they kick in. There's like this little arrow that draws above your head for half a second, but it's not like the Binding of Isaac, where you pick up 2 items and suddenly you're just shooting flaming skulls out of your face. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, those 2 things are very good.
Like Brimstone and Ludovican technique is a great example in Isaac. The second you collect it, it is crystal clear what exactly has happened.
I have a controllable ring of bloody fire.
And it's that joy of discovery as well. It's both positive and negative, because that's kind of the nature of the rogues, is to pick something up and to be like, oh, this works really well, or oh, I just boned myself. That went real bad.
I'm just writing down a show note here, a little title, there we go. And his last question is, what was the last game announcement that made you squeal like a schoolgirl?
Crackdown 3.
Yeah, that was up there for me until the new ToeJam and Earl got announced.
True. No history with that series.
Yeah, because we hadn't had one since the original Xbox. And that was... If you want to be real specific about it, the last one we haven't had a good one was from the Genesis, the very first one. So,
that's right,
20-something years, and I was pretty... You want to talk about a really good roguelike? The first ToeJam and Earl is an incredible one.
Yeah, that's what I hear everybody talking about. Like, ToeJam and Earl did it first.
Someone posted a TV commercial for the first game. they had such a hard time explaining that game. Where it's like, it's different every time. Random items and weapons. And it's just like, the term roguelike still wasn't even though rogue is incredibly old, like there wasn't that term.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of one other than Crackdown 3. I didn't audibly say anything, but it kind of squeaked a little bit when I saw the new EA game, whatever it's called.
Anthem?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Just because it's, it's that studio, it's BioWare, and they're making that kind of
potentially
game.
a BioWare Destiny, where you're like, okay, you don't screw it up, and I'm going to play this for a real long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Diablo 3 was probably one for me, because I don't know how many people are going to remember this. Blizzard had a teaser page. I think this was in 2001, 2002, and it was this is hot on the heels of Warcraft 3, and it was like this icy webpage, and then every couple of days the ice would crack a little bit, and you're like, okay, cool, like it's another Frozen Throne, like another expansion for and then on the last day the whole thing shatters and it's just Diablo's face and it says Diablo 3, and it's just like, what? And that was a cool, like, little...
That's a really cool reveal, though, as well.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, great, another Warcraft, whatever. No, it's Diablo 3!
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know. I'm trying to think of... The big thing is I don't really see much reveal stuff except for at E3. And then at E3, it's either going to be super-duper expected or super-duper or it's going to blow your socks off.
A lot of stuff nowadays is leaked like the week before E3, where it's like, all right, here are the 3 games Bethesda's showing off. Cool. Here's what Square Enix is showing off. Like, okay, well, cool. Yeah. Sony and Microsoft, I feel, are probably the last 2 companies to really have a lid on some of their biggest reveals.
Yeah, I think Bethesda did pretty good with Fallout 4. It was rumored, and it was talked about, and it was gossiped about for so long, and it was kind of obvious because that's their cycle.
Right.
But they did a good job for that. They
come out with a Pip-Boy on the arm. It's like, you can pre-order it now. And I'm like, I'm already doing it.
Yeah, it's like... I mean, obviously, I'm guessing Prey this year, but I was hoping it would be Elder Scrolls, because it's about that time again.
Yeah.
For another Elder Scrolls, but... From what I understand, ESO is doing pretty good for them, and do you want to take away from that audience and put it in a single-player game? It's...
Jimbo Jangles in chat says, I can't remember if it was an E3 announcement, but the Xbox Elite controller reveal got me amped. That's a good one for a piece of hardware. Because, like, Scorpio, when they announced it, it was sort of like, okay, we knew you were working on that. Like, that got super leaked forever. And then when the X got announced, it's like, cool, that's just Scorpio with a release date and a price. So that name is dumb, but whatever. But the Elite controller was sort of like, okay, you're making a cool, different piece of hardware.
That controller is so good, dude.
Yeah.
Like, so good.
Yeah, I don't know. We were talking about E3, but between the break, we're almost done with the episode, but I'm excited to have one of those announcements this year. I feel like 2017 was sort of a lot of like, we're coming out with 3 games this year, so don't worry about anything this year. But
I'll be honest, that's the excitement and the concern this year is, from everything I'm hearing, Days Gone isn't going to get a look in at Sony's press conference,
right? Which
means they've got like 4 or 5 things to talk about, and I already know every single one of those things,
right?
Which means Microsoft are either sitting on something or they got nothing.
Yeah.
And it's exciting and concerning on both counts to see what they do and do not have.
Either there's going to be that one game where it's like, yes, it's finally happening, or it's going to be the year where it's like, we have a half-hour E3 episode where it's like, nothing happened.
Yep.
Sorry. Find out in,
3 weeks?
2-3 weeks? Yikes.
Oh, wow.
I don't even have to go, and I'm worrying about it.
Yeah. I'm worried about watching that stuff.
Yeah.
What did you play this week, Moon? Nothing.
Yeah.
I was watching videos.
My problem, too, is like most of the stuff happens during the day, and the streams are suddenly sweary, so I'm going to have to Put Moana on the other TV, I guess.
Get them headphones in.
Yeah. All right, that's our episode for this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. All the links to all this stuff is on the right-hand side of the page, including the Discord, where we are doing nothing but talking about Marvel Strike Force. Go join the Alliance. That game's still pretty good, even though we're getting Deadpool. I don't like Deadpool.
Chill out, dude. It's almost over.
The Game Club game. We just wrapped up Shovel Knight, so the new one's going to be Owlboy, out for a whole bunch of platforms. Don't forget Patreon, patreon.com/E1M1. Get all the cool behind-the-scenes stuff and fund this show.
Yep.
And follow us and subscribe to us, all the different places. It will let you know when we go live. We'll see you all next week.
No, we won't, because we've got to mention ODNF comes out on Friday.
Old New Flicks comes out this Friday. Keep an eye out on, if you're a patron, comes out for the $5 tier.
Yep.
You get it 3 months early. And I don't know what the movie is this month either, so we will find out together come Friday. Keep an eye on your Patreon feed or your email.
I'll give a hint and use my wife's favorite quote.
Okay.
Do you have a kiss for daddy?
I still don't know what it is, so we'll all find out on Friday. This episode's
designed for you, just like it's designed for me.
Yeah. And we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stupid Deadpool.
Yeah, totally forgot to mention that at the time before we actually started recording.
Yeah, that's
the episode.
right.
I just need to edit it.
Yeah.
And that'll take me, hopefully, one night this week.
Nice. Getting faster and faster.
Yep. Instead of, 6 hours like the first episode, the second episode was about 3. And I think I've got it nailed down to a little bit of a science now, but I'm debating to play around with my editing tools a little bit.
Yeah, once you have a little bit of free time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, titles.
I
got a lot, by the way. Just one more run. Just keep piling on the pressure. Me and 3 other blueberries. Sounds like fun/torture. Disposable clan members. We meant what you knew. Stick to itness. It smelled faintly of Suicide Squad. And Mr. or Mrs. Hulk.
I have why? I don't know. The Crying Chest, Chunky Pixels, The Rock Fist, The Nature of the Rogues, which I really like, and Sounds Like Fun/Torture. I feel like you were really excited to write down the Suicide Squad one.
Yeah, the second you said that, I was like, that's good. No, show title.
What was that one? Smells faintly of Suicide Squad?
Smells faintly of Suicide Squad.
What has your vote?
Jimbo Jangles put through on a chat as well. An inch means the world.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I missed that one.
I really like the Suicide Squad one.
Me too, because it kind of sums up both that trailer from what I'm hearing and that movie.
Yeah.
A little.
I'll go and circle it. I would recommend watching both Rage 2 trailers. I think they're both only 30 seconds long. They're a trip. All right, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 552 for May 21st, 2018. Smells faintly of Suicide Squad.
Mr. J, you're my hero.
That was a good impression.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. See you next week. Bye.
Available for voice acting hiring.
And we're done recording.